It's winter here in California, and what better time than to step into the world of Canadian artist Loscil. So in this video, I want to slow things down a bit and enter inside of his world, not just the sounds on the surface, but the deeper choices that give his music weight and restraint. We'll look at how space, patience, texture, and subtle motion work together to create pieces that feel grounded, cinematic, and emotionally quiet without ever feeling empty. This is less about copying a sound and more about understanding a mindset where minimal gestures carry meaning and every layer earns its place in the mix. Anyway, thank you for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. So in today's video, we're going to build a Loscil style ambient track from scratch. Like I said in the introduction, this is less about copying one of the tracks from his albums and more about getting into the mindset, especially when you're in the compositional stage. How do you use minimalism and weight to your advantage when you're making this style of track? So as you can see, I've got a little demo track. You guys can hear this. Very nice Loscil style track. The first track here is coming from Current. That's that beautiful pad in the background. Very simple pad. Some morphing EQ here. This is just a sawtooth. I want to make that clear. It's just a simple sawtooth sound with some modulation. We're going to start there with the sawtooth. That's going through an instance of Valhalla Future Verb with a nice preset coming from Space and Time 2. And as you can see, the chords are nice and spaced out. And so that's showing the restraint, and the reverb is carrying the tail to the next chord. It's really nice. It kind of gives this cold, kind of empty feeling. Now here, I have an instance of Pigment 7. And you'll notice that I'm using the audio input here. This is a lesser known feature of Pigments. You can actually send audio into Pigments. Therefore, you can use the filters and the effects to process any audio coming from your DAW. It's pretty amazing. I don't use it that much, but I thought it might be cool to kind of reintroduce you guys to this because, you know, it is there and it exists. So I've got this track here. It's just a simple, like, you know, kind of riverbed sound, free sample from Lufrum. And I'm sending that into Pigments through the sidechain audio, and I'm processing it through the effects. So you can see I've got a PS delay, the new corroder effect up here. And so that's really interesting to me because we're using sound and the utility engines here to process other audio inside of our DAW. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. You can use modulation here. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. Pigments is amazing. It continues to amaze me. Anyway, over here, we have a new instance of Stepic 1.6. And it's playing this really minimal sequence through a sine wave. And each pattern is being randomized, or it's sort of switching randomly through the different patterns. But you can see I've used like kind of a minimal amount of notes, but because it's switching patterns on the fly and choosing a new random pattern, it's kind of giving us a different sequence every single time. I love that. Like I said, it's just going through a simple sine wave here in Current. Nothing crazy at all. And then a beautiful bass sound here on the bottom, also coming from Current. Nice unison on here, giving us some modulation. So that's it. Essentially, this is 4 or 5 tracks. But we're going to start here and then talk about the types of choices that Loscil makes and how you can implement these techniques on your own. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using Current for this first part of the tutorial, but feel free to use any other synthesizer of your choice, such as Vital, Pigments, or Serum 2. All right, so what we're going to do is build the chord section because I really feel like, you know, it's a very easy thing to do, especially on any synthesizer. However, to get the timing right, that's the most important part, all right? So what we're going to do, we're going to play in D minor today. I'll go ahead and lower my BPM to like, I don't know, 83 beats per minute or something like that. And let's go ahead and adjust our amp envelope. Now this is the important part because you really want to make sure that those chords are kind of swelling in and they hold, and then you can let them go with the release and let the reverb do the rest of the work. So what I'll do is I'll come over to the amp envelope here. I'll adjust my attack to like, I don't know, something really long, like 6.5 seconds. Adjust the decay to around the same, lower down the sustain and add some release here. I'll add a couple voices of unison, maybe 3 or 4 voices of unison, lower the detune, and we're gonna turn on the filter here and then lower the cutoff. Now the other thing I'm gonna do is take another envelope and make a nice long envelope out of this. You can see the time value. Again, you could do this same technique in another synthesizer like Vital or Pigments here. I'm just making a second long envelope here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna move the cutoff filter. So I'll drag my envelope over to the cutoff filter and drop it off. And you can see here when I play some chords, it makes a really long sound. The envelope opens up, it opens the filter up, and then when I let go, we're gonna get that nice long tail. And that's without reverb yet, all right? That's cool, that's exactly what I want. So I'll go ahead and add some release here just for good measure. And now let's go ahead and draw in some notes. Now this clip that I'm gonna make is gonna be a really long clip, all right? Now you don't have to make it that long. What you can do is just start with a smaller clip, like say, I don't know, we'll turn off the fixed grid here and I'll go ahead and draw in some notes. I'm playing in D minor, like I said, so I'll play a C, F, and G, and then a high D, okay? And you really wanna match timing with the distance that the chords are going to travel. So for example, I'm just gonna go ahead and play that same chord here. They don't all have to start at the same time. Just kind of organically let them come together. So the length of your loop is gonna be the length of the distance between the first and the second chord. So right now I've got it set to 9 bars. Let's go to, there we go, that's good. So you see here, as I pull this out, that's how far the chords are gonna be spread apart. Again, your mileage may vary here. You can lower the loop length. Play with it around until you find a good distance that works for you. So again, we're matching the length of the envelope to the actual notes that we put down here in our track. That's great, okay? That's cool. And then from here, we're gonna get a nice long distance, nice long release here, and our reverb is gonna take care of the rest of it for us. All right, I'll go ahead and lower the length of this down to, say, 8 bars. That's perfect. All right, great. Now we're gonna add a reverb after our synth pad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a reverb here. Now you don't have to grab the one that I'm gonna grab. I'm gonna grab Valhalla Future Verb, and I'm gonna use a preset from the brand new Space and Time 2. Why am I using this reverb? Because this reverb has an echo and a reverb on it, okay? And the preset that I'm gonna use, again, is from Space and Time 2, from Phase Continuum, and it's going to be the Farewell to Alancha. And I love this preset because it's got a delay or an echo on it and some really beautiful space. Listen to what happens when the pad hits that reverb tank. Check this out. Oh yeah. I love it, I love it. 29 seconds of decay here, but listen to this. That's what you're after, right there. That beautiful wash and tail where all those echoes are swirling in, and then the next one comes in, and there you go, okay? So again, this is from Space and Time 2. I'll leave the link down below in the description for this. It just came out. It's such a great, I mean, there's so many presets. There's for Valhalla Future Verb, Vintage Verb, Room, Supermassive. We got it all for you, 100 presets. Amazing set. So there you go. So we got a nice, beautiful reverb here, the echo / reverb combo with that beautiful pad. And that's all it takes. It does not take much. Again, this could be Vital, it could be Pigments here, it could be Serum, just a simple sawtooth, but it's all about the distance and the timing of those envelopes together, all right? Cool, all right, we got that all set up. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move into the whole audio into Pigments thing, all right? And I'm gonna put an audio down. Now, the thing about an audio into Pigments is the track doesn't even have to have volume. all right? It's gonna recognize that there's audio on that track and it's gonna send it into Pigments. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna grab a free sample here. Again, this is from the Luftdrum free samples. We've had this for years. I mean, this has been out for a long time. It's called the Rosnes Shore, all right? It's just from Luftdrum's free sample library. You just look at Luftdrum free field recordings and you'll find it, all right? So I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna put it down onto the top track here. This is just a simple audio track. You can hear it. It's like, you know, some water. But I'm gonna turn the level or the fader all the way off, okay? So now we're not hearing anything, okay? But here's the thing. You can warp it if you want, so we can come in, you know, your DAW may differ. I'm gonna warp this, we'll put it onto Complex Pro, we'll make it a loop. So we're gonna stretch it to the length of our track, however long your loop length is, all right? And again, my track fader is all the way off, okay? So you can't hear this. Now, I'm gonna go ahead, we'll rename this track. First of all, we'll rename this our pad 1, okay? We're gonna grab Pigments 7. Now again, this will work on Pigments 5, 6, or 7. You don't have to have the latest Pigments, but again, they've been free every single time. So I'll grab Pigments here. And what I'm gonna do here in Ableton, your DAW may differ. You've really gotta check the manual for this. But here in Ableton, you can see I have a sidechain input right down here, okay? So the sidechain input says no input. I'm gonna rename this water track, okay? So that track is now named water and I can come back to the Pigments track. The sidechain can come from water, all right? And as you can see, because our signal is now lighting up here, yeah? Ableton has now recognized that there's audio on that track. Okay? So if we come into Pigments and you open it up, the way you get audio into Pigments is actually through the utility engine, okay? So you go to the utility engine here and under noise 2, not noise 1, under noise 2, you can set it from noise 2 to audio input, all right? And as you can see, there's our water coming through right here. Now, you can't hear anything because the synthesizer itself acts as like a gate. So as soon as I play a note, okay, you hear an oscillator, okay? But you also hear that water sound. Listen. Okay? How cool is that? So Pigments is acting as like a pass-through. And whenever I press a note or press a key, it opens up the note gate and we get the audio, okay? So what does this mean? Well, you can send it through the filters because you have to go through filter 1 or filter 2 here. But if I send it through filter 2 and filter 2 is off, it's bypassed, right? You can use all of the effects that Pigments has. That's cool. I mean, you can have it interact with other sounds. You can add other sounds to this. Like, this is actually pretty amazing, okay? I love it. So for example, let's go ahead and hit none here. Let's make this kind of like a deep bass sound. You know, we can use the filter here. We'll add engine 2 here, or engine 1 rather. We'll lower it down an octave. Okay. Okay. On the noise 1, we can use another sound like, you know, I don't know, bubble wrap or something. Okay. And this means, again, we're using Pigments with external audio, okay? Which is really cool. I love the whole concept behind it. We can use our modulation here. Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's use a random. And maybe we'll smooth the random out. So we'll change random 1 to just a smooth random. Set the rate to hertz, okay? We'll make it unipolar, and the retrix source can be free running. And then we'll use that on the filter mix right here, okay, very subtly. So we'll drag random 1 over to the filter mix. So now we're getting these kind of textury, crunchy washes. Again, very Loscil, right? Like you don't really know where that's coming from. It's kind of crazy, but it's very minimal. It's very understated. That's the whole point, okay? This has its own high and low pass filter. I love that. Now, the fun part. We can now add effects to this, okay? So for example, we can put it through a multi-band compressor. Oh yeah, or just, we can put a delay on it, simple delay. Now it's really washing out that water. It's starting to mix all together. You hear that? Oh yeah. Make a ping pong, stereo spread. And finally, let's add a reverb. Add lots of decay, lots of I said, the synth itself acts as like a pass-through or a note gate to this water. You can even modulate the volume here, right, with another random or even an LFO. Like we'd use an LFO here. Let's use the random LFO. We'll smooth it out. And we'll drag LFO2 over to the volume, yeah, of this water. Make it unipolar. Increase the speed, increase the amount here. So you see where I'm going with this, right? These really minimal choices, allowing space to dictate the track, not adding more is more, but allowing things to kind of flow in and flow out just like Loscil does. Not trying too hard, not trying to overdo it. It's great. Use that same LFO on the volume here. That bubble wrap. Ooh, yeah, we can modulate the tuning here with the bubble wrap. Oh my gosh. That's so cool. You see what I mean? Like, that's just amazing. Now, all we have to do here is just make one long note. Because again, the gate is pigments, and that's what's allowing the sound to pass through, okay? So I'll just make one long note here all the way across our timeline, and then press play. And there you go. Gorgeous. Again, it has weight to it. It feels very simple, but at the same time complex. And that pad is just holding it down, giving us foundation to our track. Love it. Fantastic. Okay. Now, let's rename this. This is our texture. That's cool. Again, just, you know. All right, now, this whole idea of creating a minimal sequence. I love the sine wave, obviously, right? And what I'm gonna do is just use a simple sine wave. It doesn't matter what synthesizer this comes from, because all sine waves are pretty much created the same. So I'll use pigments here, okay? And again, the most important thing with the sine wave is making sure that you have some release on it and lowering the sustain down. So when the sine wave hits, it's just gonna kind of fade off and trail off, because when sine wave hits reverb, that's where the magic happens, okay? So we got some release here. I've just, you know, rotated the wavetable. As you can see, this is now a sine wave. Added about maybe 1.5 seconds of decay. Added about 2 seconds of release. Didn't even touch the attack. Nothing crazy here, all right? The point of this part is to focus on the actual sequence itself. Now, like I said, I'm playing in D minor, so I'll grab Stepic 1.6, okay? We're gonna grab Stepic. And with Stepic now, we now have some new abilities here, okay? And I've talked about this in other videos. We have the ability to uncouple the timing of each lane. This is huge because this means that we can now kind of free ourselves from making every single sequence sound the same. And you can really get into this whole generative territory that I was talking about in the launch video and on Patreon, right? So let's go ahead and change the root note here to D3. I'll change it to natural minor. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to trash the top lane, okay? Hit the trash button right here. What does that do? It turns all the steps off. Because that means I can go ahead and intentionally make some notes here, right? And then turn those notes on, okay? And again, you don't hear anything yet because I haven't actually pressed play here. Let's go ahead and change the octave lane to, let's go ahead and change this to on note trigger, which means that the octave lane isn't gonna move until we have an on note trigger, okay? So again, we're in D3, natural minor, all right? You could change the play order to like shuffle order or something. So it's gonna kind of move around, all right? And let's go ahead and just listen to this straight up off the rip. We'll go ahead and put it through the synth bus, lower down the volume, and we'll go ahead and listen to it. No reverb yet, okay? Very subtle. Oh yeah. Now, that's just without any reverb or anything, okay? My reverb of choice right now It's definitely future verb, super massive, and the Pro R2. Okay? But sticking with the theme here, let's go ahead and let's find a preset from the new Space and Time 2. Okay? I love it. We'll go to, let's say, Valhalla Vintage Verb. Okay? I'm just going to use it as an insert. All right? And we'll go to the chrono field. Okay? This is, again, included in Space and Time 2. And let's go to the Cloud Spire. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It's nice and dark. Very deep. I love it. Fantastic. Oh, yeah. Now, here's how you make it random, okay? Here's how you make it random. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the pattern to random, which means that I'm going to copy the patterns over, but as I copy them over, it's going to pick a random pattern. And what you can do is say, next pattern going to be random, and I'll just drag and drop this. Now we have drag and drop pattern copy here, okay? And on pattern 2, I can come over to the sequence transform and say shuffle order. Now we have 2 patterns that are randomly picking notes and changing every single time. You can repeat this process. I'll go ahead and drag this over, hit the sequence transform, shuffle order, and there you go. Now we have 3 patterns that are now randomly switching between each other, and they're changing every single time. How cool is that, right? Again, real powerful stuff here in Stepic. Like, I'm so excited about this because it just opens the doors to like what's actually possible. You know what I mean? Love it. Oh yeah. And in terms of Loscil style, like this is real creepy. We got the water going through pigments. Got that washing of the pad. I love it. That's fantastic. All right, let's rename this. This is our sequence 1. Finally, let's ground this thing. We gotta ground it. Let's go ahead and take that same note here. We'll drag this down to our bass track, what's going to be our bass track. We'll make sure it's on the right note. That's a D1, very good. Okay. And let's go ahead and grab a synth. Again, it could be any synthesizer here. I use Current in the first example. I think I'll use it again. So let's go ahead and grab Current here. You could use, again, Vital or Pigments, whatever you got. I'll grab Current. And again, basses are very simple, especially when you're just trying to ground the track. So I'll add a couple voices of unison here, lower the detune, add a filter, okay? Your filter can be, say, 24 low pass filter. Lower the cutoff down to around 180, 200 hertz, something like that. And we'll grab an LFO here and make sure that the LFO is set to like 4 bars, okay? And it's on free running. That's very important. You always want a free running LFO when doing this, okay? And drag the LFO over to the cutoff. As you can see, now it's slowly moving up and down. This could easily be 8 bars. I'm just gonna go with 4 for this example, okay? And what we can do is add a touch of reverb here. So we'll use the same reverb from sequence 1. I'll get out of the way so you can see it. I'm gonna grab the same reverb, right click, copy, paste it over here, okay? This beautiful cloud spire, and lower down the mix to like 15%, somewhere around there, doesn't matter, okay? And so now, let's go ahead and restart our track, turn up the bass. Oh yeah. For good measure, let's take it down one octave. You hear that? That beautiful foundation. That bass just kind of swimming in that cloud spire reverb. The sequence kind of creepily, adding notes as it goes along. This is what I'm talking about. Loscil style ambient track. And he's got so many great albums. But if you've taken something away from this video today, it's that things like this are possible. And you don't need the best gear, you don't need all this crazy stuff. But what you need is the right mindset to draw this music into you, because it flows from within. That's the whole point. So use minimalism, use space, and then approach this like he would. How can I experiment, find new textures, find new sounds, and really make something come alive? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you want to check out those Space and Time 2 presets, I'll leave a link down below in the description. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, I do teach music like this. I can help you reach your goals in 2026. I have a mentorship program. I also have a Patreon where I have ambient coaching. So check it out. Link is down below in the description as well. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, I'll be back again soon with more videos just like this one. So in the meantime, take good care. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I'm Chris from Signs of Life, and I'll see you guys in the next video.